Great morning, everybody. What's going on? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading Investing. It's Monday morning. Great morning, everybody. What a gift and grace to be alive. What a gift and grace to be here sharing with all of you this morning. I am super hyped, looking forward to this session. I think this is going to be one of the most important Conquering the Market sessions ever, which says a lot. So I'm really excited for it. Yeah, some people are in a rush. Some people are in a rush. I have that very low time preference. Very low time preference. Not myself. You all know that. We're going to talk about that actually a lot in this episode. We're going to talk about a lot of important things over here. I want to start off with saying this morning I woke up and I was so impressed what I'm seeing going on in the Discord Conquering the Markets group. Seeing that this is one notification that caught my eye. I would love to see 50,000 now instead of a much larger correction later. Maybe the last time ever to buy under $50,000. If that makes sense, it makes a lot of sense to me. Over here, Alan saying, looks like a retest of the last breakout. Nothing too dramatic so far. What's Alan talking about over here? Look over here. You can see, first of all, if you extend this resistance line out over as we do often, you can see that right now we're coming into that line of resistance right now. That's super healthy. Could we come back down a little further and it would still be healthy? Let's go ahead and make this a little bit darker this morning. By the way, big shout out to Brandon. Brandon was talking about all weekend, was talking about how Sunday we were going to see a correction, right? I don't know how he did it or what he was watching, but he did it and he was dead on. Well done, Brandon. Brandon, Crypto Trades and Tech, Heath, Trade Talk, both of them killing it. Subscribe to their channels. Over here, you could see this trend line over here, this bottom trend line. This is the trend line over here that I'm watching over here. And as long as we stay above it, this current impulse ever since the 30% pullback should continue to go ahead and push. That's about a what? That looks like a 15% drawdown into that trend line from where we are. Right now, currently about a 10%, 11% pullback into the trend line below, 16%, 16% we'll call it. Okay? Always have that situational awareness. This pullback that we're seeing, why is it happening? I don't know. It's just markets being markets, right? As price was shooting up, right? Was I like, oh my goodness, what's causing that? Are we going all of a sudden? Is this a super? Are we in a super cycle over here? Are we going No. It's just Bitcoin being Bitcoin exactly as it should, right on time. But we're going to break that down and talk about all of that. Right now, though, if you look over here on the right, if you look at our crypto watch list, you could see that it's all what? On sale, right? A lot of people, when they see Uniswap up 50%, they're like, buy, 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 buy. Right? What about now? Now it's on sale, right? And you got not just Uniswap. What about Cardano? A lot of people looking at, are we trading back below $1? Cardano back below $1, right? Is that attractive for some? Into this area of support over here. Do you see that right there? This was that last resistance, breakout, resist, right into that. You could watch for a resumption off there. That might be the opportunity to pick up some cheap Cardano. What about Ethereum? Notice that right now so far. By the way, Alan was very, he said, look, nothing too dramatic so far. Operative words, so far. Very important over here. Why? Alan's keeping that situational awareness. Alan, by the way, I just have to, as I gave a shout out to Heath and to Brandon, Alan, absolutely phenomenal. If you're not following Alan on Twitter, do so. All right, what else are we looking at over here? Ethereum is pulling back right into this area of support also. So far, as Alan said, so far, everything looks not too dramatic, looks perfectly healthy, and it is. And this could cascade down. If we lose this area over here, we could be coming into the big breakout over here. What kind of pullback is that? I'm interested to get my awareness as I take a look at the charts this morning. That's about a 30% pullback on Ethereum. That would be super healthy, by the way. A 30% pullback into that strong area of broken resistance now should be support, right? Am I saying that's what? No, be ready in case it does, right? Don't ever buy as price is dropping. Wait for the first hint that it's resuming off there by price making a higher high than the previous time frame. But be ready, all right? Same thing with Bitcoin over here. We're coming into an area. We're still this is an area right over here, a little area right here where we could find support, but we could come down further. By the way, let's jump over to here. I just read this morning. It was interesting enough to share with all of you. This is CryptoQuant.com. I'm not familiar or following, but it says that before the dip, there was significant Bitcoin inflows into exchanges. We've all seen during this past several weeks, we see lots of Bitcoin being taken off exchanges, lots of over 1,000 Bitcoin at a clip going into cold storage, probably being there for a long time. But here you saw some whale deposit Bitcoin to exchange onto Gemini, right? And that's a sign that you're going to see some intent to sell, some profit taking perhaps. By the way, this is also extremely healthy over here. The data is showing that over $1 billion worth of future contracts were liquidated in the last 24 hours. That's healthy. That's super healthy for us to continue going up. By the way, how do you get liquidated over here? How do you get liquidated over here? I mean, are people chasing momentum? Listen, share the link with your friends. If you know anyone who's into crypto, this is the place for them. Get them in over here. All right, what else are we looking at this morning? We have a lot to look at over here. S&P 500 so far is down over here. We have about 20 minutes to the U.S. equities open. S&P under pressure. Nasdaq down 1% over here. By the way, we were not calling the top over here. I put out that video over here. Do you remember the rising yield rates, what it could mean to the equity markets, and the possible correction we could see? I was not trying to call the top. I'm still not calling the top or anything like that. I was just, as we were into resistance, just bringing that to our attention. All right. So what else? How far does this go? I have no idea. We have a lot to talk about, so we're going to do it. We'll get back into equities maybe in about 15-20 minutes as they open. DXY, though, is down this morning and continuing to trade sideways. Very important as we put all the pieces together. Let's keep doing that over here. We see today gold leading the way, right? By the way, look at that last. This was the pickup we looked at over here. Came back into this line, this trend line support over here, and is bouncing over here, right? Gold is still what? Consolidating and sideways. Gold has been one of the commodities that has been lagging and continues to lag, right? Gold, by the way, with these rising yields that we're seeing, why are we seeing rising yields? Is that normal? Is that abnormal? Right? I've been bringing the focus to that last week, and it's important, but it's nothing to get crazy about. They've come really high, really fast. At this point, to see some type of consolidation or pullback is normal. Could they go higher? Yes. Until we get to some type of inflection point, this is what I believe. Until we get to some type of inflection point, right, where you see yields get too high that the Fed needs to step in and do something about it, gold is going to remain under pressure, right? This is not bad. This is good. And the longer it remains under the pressure, the better for us. Why? Because, well, at the top of the cycle, I prefer to position into gold, right? And the longer that it remains consolidating, the longer that it remains manipulated and suppressed, the better for myself. We'll get into that. There's a quick question over here that we want to talk about, though. Jordan, I've been watching your live streams religiously every day since last April. I have a question on gold. I've been buying gold since last August, and I'm currently down 10-15%. My thought is to sell and take the losses and flip it into Bitcoin, where I could probably cover the losses 10-15% and most likely turn it positive. Then buy into gold at the top of the Bitcoin bull market. Or should I just keep the gold as I have it? What are your thoughts on this? My first thoughts is I'm not here to tell you what to do at any point. This is a direct question. Like, should I sell my gold and buy Bitcoin? And do you think that's a good idea? Listen, every day, what I do here is I go over the charts and I try to make it as clear as can be. One of the charts that we look at very often is the gold to Bitcoin chart, right? And do you remember as we were over here, I said, look, this is probably one of the best trades you could make over here. Selling gold versus Bitcoin, right? And look, we've come back down about 45% since. Today, you could see gold rising against Bitcoin, right? Into this area of resistance coming up right over here, by the way. I will never tell you, because that would be such a disservice for me to tell you what to buy, when to sell. The whole purpose of what we do here is to educate yourself, right? And you've been saying you've been watching and listening religiously since last April, so you already know that. You're looking for some type of confirmation or affirmation. I can't give that to you directly, but we could continue going over the charts, continue making and continue painting my picture, making everything as clear as can be until you understand that for yourself. Because if you don't understand the trade for yourself, you're either going to get shaken out. How many people bought Bitcoin in the last 3 days and now see Bitcoin coming down 10%, 11%, 12% now and are selling, right? Bitcoin, $50,000. Are you thinking of selling? By the way, all right, we have a lot to talk about. Let me keep going over here. I can't make that decision for you, by the way, if whether or not you should sell gold and buy Bitcoin. But I could continue. If you've been listening religiously since last April, you know how I feel about this current moment that we're in during this current time, during this current moment of the bull market, of the Bitcoin bull market phase, what I expect to happen to Bitcoin, what I, Jordan, expect to happen to the price of Bitcoin versus gold. But you need to understand that for yourself. You really do. So where else are we looking at? Let's keep going over here. This is an important one. They're all important. That's why I said that. Jordan, I hope this finds you well. You've helped myself and others around me learn prices, technical analysis skills during the past few months. My question regarding Bitcoin price action. As I'm reading this, I have no idea actually what it's going to say. Do these large vertical moves concern you? My mental image is in the back of late 2020 with this type of price action. All right, let's take a look. First of all, a couple of things. We were going vertical up until about, 12 hours ago. We were going vertical. And as we're going vertical, the same thing happens. Oh, this is a super cycle. Bitcoin's going to $1.2 million, this, that, and the other thing, right? But now over here, look at that. Lots of liquidations taking place across the future markets right now. That's what you're seeing right now, by the way, on this candle over here. This is 15%. This is a 15% can, 16% now, 18%. No, that's wrong. Let me pick the high over there. Let's get this accurate. I want to see what's going on. We're now down about 18%. Now, everyone that's following Conquer Trading Investing, 3 ways to trade Bitcoin during the bull market phase. As you see Bitcoin down 15, 20%, what are you thinking? What are you thinking, right? This looks beautiful over here. Let's watch what happens into this area over here. By the way, I'm going to do a couple of things right now as we need to watch what's happening, right? First of all, we just saw a massive amount of liquidations. If you're getting liquidated over here, you're doing it wrong, right? This is where Conquering the Markets looks to scale in. Strategy number 2, looking for those 30% pullbacks. What do you start at? 15%? A little bit? A little more at 20, 25%, right? By 30% fully positioned in, right? Ethereum down over here, 18%. Is it a bloodbath? I mean, listen, just for a bit of perspective, we're really, if I go to the daily chart over here, just so we could see, we're where we were trading 4 days ago, 5 days ago. And I have to say, 4 or 5 days ago, as we were trading at $48,000, that felt really comfortable to me. Do you remember my tweet last week? 38,000 is really, really comfortable. And anything above is simply gravy, right? Well, here we are, $10,000 above right now. I mean, if you're feeling the pressure this morning, you have to really work on, first of all, where you're taking your entries. Are you chasing momentum or are you preemptive? You have to work on your position sizing. Are you out there in the futures market gambling, just taking leveraged positions, hoping you get it right? You're going to get wrecked. You're going to get wrecked. Anyway, let's keep going over here. I want to find out, this is right now so far testing that trend line over here. This is a beautiful place to be looking for a bottom over here. What happens if we break down that trend line over there? Where's a 30% drawdown? This is the awareness I always need to have myself. That's taking us back to around $40,000. Is there strong support around $40,000? Well, there's support over there. Do you remember this resistance right over here? We came in, we tested it right over there. That's not a straight line. Hold on one second. That's not a straight line. This is a lower high over there. There you go. That's like $40,000. There's a little bit of support over there. Not really. In this area over here there is. That's for sure. Does it mean 30% is where we cap out? No. 30% plus. That's what we're looking for. Just trying to bring right now. This was not part of the show this morning, but as it's happening, I want everyone to have that calmness, that awareness of what's happening. I just saw lots of liquidations taking place, and I don't want anyone to get that, not FOMO on the top, but the FOMO on the downside. Like, oh my God, Bitcoin's going to zero, right? Ethereum over here took out that, look at the liquidations that took place over there. All right. Listen, for me, it's buying opportunity. This is where you want to have that calmness. This is where you want to, yeah, lots of weekends getting shake out. Dave something, Portno, right? Barstool Dave. What did he sell his Bitcoin at? Like $13,000? I don't know. Anyway, let's keep going over here. We have a lot to talk about. I want to talk about this. This was happening 12 hours ago. People might have got concerned that price was going vertical. All right, let's just pause for a moment. Forget what just happened, which is super healthy, right? That's super healthy to see this happen over here. Why? Because we just got a lot of fools liquidated, right? And yeah, if you get liquidated on this type, on a 15-20% move on Bitcoin, you're completely doing it wrong. Watch the video, by the way. It was 3 weeks ago on the Conquering the Markets live training session on the Thursday afternoon, where we did how to trade Bitcoin lightly leveraged. It is absolutely essential. By the way, experts only. Bitcoin is so volatile, you do not need to trade it with leverage. If you are trading it with leverage, you have to understand it's experts only. You have to know how to do it. All right, let's keep going over here. Bitcoin going vertical is a concern to me. I put out a video. Right, I put out a video. It was either on the 30th or 31st of December, 2 days before the new year, and it talks about a double wave in Bitcoin. If you want to find it, very easy to find. It's either the 30th or 31st, and it talks about what could be happening if price goes vertical. Right now, price is not going vertical. If we kept going over here, by the way, if we didn't have this pullback today, and we kept going over here, and all of a sudden we were trading 70 and then above, that would start to becoming very alarming to me. We would be seeing something like this where price is going vertical, unsustainable, and then a larger pullback. If at any time that occurs during this cycle, and by the way, I have lots of, let's say, goalposts that I am following to make sure that I keep on the right side of the trade. And that includes many things, not just on the upside, also on the downside, right? Whether or not we are entering hyper Bitcoinization, right? Michael Berry, by the way, the hero of The Big Short. Michael Berry, the hero of The Big Short over here, is talking about over the weekend on Twitter how we are looking at possibly a hyperinflationary event taking place. Now, I'm not going to go over the thread with you this morning, only to point out the fact, and he's talking about why. He said governments are inviting inflation. But Jordan, the guy with the paper hat, says this is deflationary, right? We're looking at MMT, right? Tinged policies. We're looking at huge debt taking place, right? Compared to GDP levels. We're looking at enormous M2 increases, right? So what's going on over here? Is this something... oh, you like the guy with the paper hat, do you? This could be something. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy keeping people on the wrong side of the trade, losing a lot of money. Anyway, let's keep going. If we were to have, and by the way, this unfolds quickly. It's not like you see it coming. All right, you go from, and he talks about how this has been since like 2010, 2011. This has all been shaping up and taking place. It's a great thread. I will go through it with you, just not right now. It's very important. I will walk you through it. But he talks about the fact that how it happens overnight. He talks about what happened in Weimar, Germany, how it all occurred, the similarities that were taking place. Is it possible that within the next 8 months, within the next 12 months, that happens over here? By the way, how do you like them apples? Keeping us calm over here, right over here. Let's get a thumbs up here if you're new here. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm glad that you are here with us. Is it possible that we see some type of hyperinflation take place that would cause hyper-Bitcoinization to take place and that would cause us not to sell at the top of the bull market? Yeah, it's possible. Right now, the odds of that happening for me are about 5 to 7%. If that changes, I will let you know. I am hyper aware of the macro that's going on. I am hyper aware of the macro at all times. If at any reason things change, I'm going to do my best to be on the right side of the trade. I'm going to do my best to make the case that you understand it well and are able to do the same for sure. For sure. So right now, I don't see that taking place, especially after that pullback. That was super healthy. Would it be worrisome? When would Jordan be worth? If we were to take out, this is the in purple over here, by the way, this is the first cycle. In green is the second cycle. This chart, by the way, if you want to look at it, is found over on Twitter on the halving tracker. Just go to halving tracker. You can find these charts over here. It tells you how many days since past the halving, right? And then if we were to go ahead and trade above that first cycle over here, like pierce this over here, be trading above $100,000, and that were to unfold within the next 30 days, and we're going vertical, I would then say, all right, this is now worrisome to me. This is the question. This question's coming from, oh, did I delete the question? I did. Question coming from someone who's a huge part of the community. He's been here for a long time, contributes a lot. Definitely want to take the time to answer that. And by the way, everyone is important to me. If you ask a question on YouTube, if you ask a question on Twitter and I miss it, it's nothing personal at all. I do my best to pick out the important things that I feel that we should share with each other and cover them so that we all continue to stay on the right side over there. Yeah, listen. All right, I'm not going to go over there right now. So, Gene, good morning. If we were to go vertical, rest assured, as I put out that video back towards the end of the year on what that would mean, how it would be happening, watch that video if you haven't seen it yet. And we will go ahead and we will adjust accordingly. That's not happening right now. And you can see as we've pulled back today, that's also helped the case. Because is this worrisome as we keep going up? It would be weird for me if we took out the trajectory of the first cycle. If we traded above the relative numbers over here on the first cycle. That's not happening right now. What else? By the way, just a public service announcement, or if you saw the report that Kraken said that they're able, with a piece of software and knowing where your physical treasure is, they're able to hack the pin, right? If you use a passphrase with Trezor, which is not stored in the actual hardware wallet, if you're using a Trezor, make sure you're using a passphrase. Okay, boom. What's next? Feeling delighted. Jordan, I got 3 months paper trading with an average of a little over 4% gain in that time. I got 2.5% for the first month. Fairly big drawdown in the second, fell into place in the third. I ran the compound interest calculations over my 20-year time horizon. 20-year conquering the markets all day long, super low time preference, 20-year time horizon. It'll be life-changing, generation wealth. Many thanks. If you haven't seen this video over here, it's on the Forex playlist on the channel. What are realistic profits in Forex for a full-time trader? This really gets you thinking how you should be thinking as a trader. All right, we're not going to run that now, but do take a look at it. Jordan, boom, boom, boom. I'm not even going to read this, but thank you very much. Just want to say thank you. We value your wisdom, how you teach us to trade better and be on the right side of the trade, no matter what the direction of the market's moving. Let's get into the charts a little bit over here. Bitcoin bouncing off our low over here. Stock market's getting ready, open in 2 minutes, off the lows of the day. What's causing that? I think yields are actually down, pre-market. So the narrative you might be seeing is, well, rising yields are causing the stock market to be off this morning. I don't know. I would have to say that it's probably normal price fluctuations coming off the resistance over here. What type of drawdown are we seeing so far? On the S&P 500, we're looking at a 2.3% drawdown into this area of support. Bigger support a little lower. So we got bigger support over here, right around 38.35. It's not worth putting in. It's not worth saying anything right now. They're not attractive to us right now. If they were to come off 8-9%, they would become attractive. We will be watching them closely. By the way, to step back over here, this is a daily chart over here of the S&P E-minis over here, and you could see, this is looking back 10 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13, 8, 9% pullbacks. We're watching, we're waiting. At that point, they do become attractive. The equity markets are still not attractive for us. We're not going to be freaking out on a 2.5% pullback. That's healthy. Into the look what happened. We came into resistance. We put out the video. Watch out what's happening over here, right? Yes, this would be a 10%, 8% correction, 10% correction into the areas of support. If that happens, we'll be there, eat it up. At that point, maybe we'll be looking at equities. Right now, no. Gold, by the way, you can see it coming off the support. This is the daily time frame over there, right? Is that where you want to step in? I don't think this is the time for gold. We're still going to watch it and track it. Silver better. Let's take a look at silver over here. And I say silver better. Watch what's going on with gold over here. Do you see that gold continues to be on pressure with this downward slope over here? What type of pullback is this from the all-time high in gold? 15% is attractive on gold. By the way, gold was off 15% during the liquidity crisis. All right? But I think that your money will be stuck. I think that your money would be stuck right now and not serving the purpose that you should be putting your capital to work. What about on silver over here? This could be a big year for silver, right? If it's a big year for silver, will gold be in lockstep? Yes, but we expect silver to outperform ever since the Fed intervened with that $4.1 trillion expansion of their balance sheet. We said, or shortly thereafter, we said that in this current monetary environment, we expect silver to outperform gold. Look how silver is consolidating sideways. It looks to me like this could be a possible, right, cup and handle forming over here. Let's see what happens. Look, we're coming into that strong resistance. We were rejected just overnight into that resistance over there at 27.64. Clearing above it, that opens up the yearly high on silver. Let's see what happens and continue tracking it. What else? I want to look over here. By the way, copper is something that I pointed out a couple of things on copper, right? We were following this once it got the $3 mark over here. It's up about 25% since, right? If you look at what copper's done ever since the low, here, let's take it all the way to when the Fed acted over here. Copper up 113%. How about them apples, right? But in comparison, and copper continues to, by the way, copper, commodity cycle happening right now, inflation happening. Look at copper run. Copper is huge as we're looking at this green energy initiative, right, under the Biden administration. Copper is needed over here. Copper is definitely needed as we need to all this electric grid, right? It runs on copper, right? Jordan, it doesn't run on copper. It's running on blah blah. No, it runs on copper. Look it up. Don't come at me on that. I've done my research. All right, what else? Look over here. Boom. This, by the way, I just want to point out really quick over here. You could see that yields do have a lot of room to rise over here. Look how they've tracked over here. Look how they tracked almost in unison. And then look ever since the Fed acted and you've seen copper rising, commodities rising. Do yields have a lot of room to catch up over here? And could that happen? Yes. What happens if yields start rising? Then we're going to be talking about things like yield control. However, Treasury yields remain below inflation expectations. Right now, yields are actually lower than inflation expectations. What happens if we start seeing more government spending, more government stimulus, more government debt? Are we going to start seeing inflation get out of control? Is it at that inflection point yet? No, not yet. It could start happening. What happens if they start laying off the stimulus? Could we start seeing that deflationary pressure kick in? Absolutely. That's why instead of just like building a thesis and sticking to it, we trade what's happening, right? I defer to Lynn Alden on this treasury yield curve. If it's happening as we get closer, we'll be watching her work. What else we want to look at? We have a lot we want to look at. Let's get going over here. All right. Bitcoin. Can you imagine the calmness that we showed over here as Bitcoin came down into our level, right? Man, conquering the markets all day long. I just prefer honesty. I'm outside of context. I'm not catching what we mean. Whoa, I got caught up in the comments 1 second over here, right? A lot of people are sort of tracking dot, right? That's palladium. Where's my dot? Off 5%? I don't understand. Oh, that's dot versus Bitcoin. Let me look at dot versus US dollar over here. Maybe something's happening over there. Oh, wow. That's on Kraken. Is that happening across other exchanges? It's not. By the way, do you remember? Most of you probably don't remember. It was a couple of years ago, and it was Bitcoin versus the Canadian dollar on Kraken, which traded down like, I don't know, let's call it 85, 90% on some wicks like that. You got to be careful. You got to be careful trading illiquid markets. We often talk about placing orders far, if you're interested in an altcoin and it's illiquid, placing orders far outside the market. When I talk about the most important trade that matters and talk about it being Bitcoin lightly leveraged, because nothing outperforms it in the space, it is the most liquid, the most volume, the most heavily traded, the one that you see corporations buying $1.5 billion worth of it. Either which way, be careful out there. Be careful out there. If you're trading on Kraken, I mean, this is a travesty. People people just lost fortunes. People lost a lot of money, and I'm sure that money was important to them. Got to be careful in the altcoins. All right. What else? 697 likes. How many people we got in here this morning with us? A few. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. I want to get into so far over here. Right now, the equity markets are open, so I just want to check in and get my awareness. I want to get into the title of this video over here, and we're going to talk about that right now together, right? First, we have the S&P 500. It's right off the lows of the session, overnight session. Nasdaq at the lows over here. Nasdaq, by the way, just to get me some awareness over here, I need to keep in the flow over here. Down 3.9%. Okay, is that something to be alarmed about? No. Are we calling for the correction? No, we don't call for the correction. We know over here as we came into the resistance that we were let's say alarmed. Why we were alarmed? Well, prices are normally rejected by resistance. If it broke out, by the way, to the upside, hold on, I'm trying to break that off. If it had broken out to the upside, that might have been something that we would have said to each other, all right, this could be an interim top. If we would have saw price break out of the resistance over here and start going kind of vertical, something like this type of price action over here, that would have said, all right, this is something to sell into because now we are looking for a correction. But outside of that type of event on the indexes over here, we're not looking for the correction. If the correction happens, we're actually looking to step in and see if that we want to go ahead and step in and buy. By the way, there are platforms, right? There are platforms such as FX Choice, such as Hot Forex brokers, where you could trade an account based in Bitcoin and then take a position in the equity markets. So if the equity markets come off 9-10%, right, into some strong support and then are reversing off, that's a trade for someone to consider. All right, what are we looking at? Well, that's smart. That's so smart. And you don't need to, Shane. Right? All right, what else are we looking at over here? Bitcoin shakeout. Was that the title of the video over here? Yeah, that was in the thumbnail. Shakeout on Bitcoin. Here's the shakeout. Leveraged traders got wrecked over here, right? And now we're bouncing up. And now guess what? As Bitcoin, I'm not saying Bitcoin's going to come up over here now. Maybe it will. But if it does, you're going to see all these people that got wrecked over here FOMOing back into the upside. Price dips down again, crushes them. You can't do that. You have to trade with a plan. You have to know what you're doing. You cannot trade off emotion. You have to have the plan ahead of time and execute. It takes patience. It takes skill. That skill is not developed by being like, oh, I want to trade Bitcoin, right? Could you develop that skill by spending your time here every day? Absolutely. Absolutely. In here, we have iron sharpens iron. I am like a proud father when I look at how the knowledge base in this group continues to rise. So happy about that. All right, Jordan, I love these comments that I received over the weekend, so I want to share them with you. We appreciate you every week, brother. I know we thank you all the time. Thank you for that. It keeps me going. But not only for your sharing of your trading knowledge, thank you for your positive energy, your positive words. You're a real one, and I'm glad we have you as your mentor. Thank you, Carl. The vibe in here is just amazing. Seeing you mixing up investing with religion during the talk is top level. Life is not all about money. It's about the ability to keep all aspects of life in balance. Family, financial freedom, personal development. Always be looking to grow. Always be looking to learn. Helping out people who need it all are all equally important. God bless you, Jordan. May God bless you too. God bless you too. Paul, did we see the tweet from Peter Schiff? Right? That was not the biggest indicator that we hit the top. I don't know. I didn't see the tweet. But dude, that makes me so happy. A couple of things. I didn't see Peter Schiff's tweet. I don't really, I mean, Peter is like, He's the angry old man yelling at the sky, right? Peter Schiff is nobody. He's made himself irrelevant. Peter made himself irrelevant in shilling gold throughout the bear market in gold, right? At that point, Peter, as intelligent as he is, he became a shill. So whatever about Peter. But Gene, we've talked. This is awesome. I can't believe you did that. The biggest applause, right? Because being aware and then acting is another thing. Yeah, Gene, big shout out. That's beautiful. All right, what else are we looking at over here? Absolutely, James. Thank you. Jordan, I'm eternally grateful for your work, largely because of what you put out there. I went 50% in at 9,500. Life changing. I'm 35 years old, and the time and the time freedom this will afford me. The time freedom. Time freedom comes from being low time preference. This will afford me to focus on my wife and 3 young kids is incredible. Thank you, Brian, for letting me know. Thank you, Brian, for taking the time to let me know. Thank you, Brian, for letting me know that I'm helping do my part to make this world a better place, to help change lives. Knowing that you have more time to spend with your wife and 3 young kids, that's incredible to me. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. This is an important one. Let's talk about it over here. You guys are watching Ethereum. We'll check back on Ethereum really quick before we get into the important one over here. Ethereum, yeah. This is a big shakeout over here. All we said this morning, though, is if we broke this level over here, where you see this line over here, we could go down way further. We talked about this was 30%. So far, we've wicked down lower, wicking back up. Step back. Step back. Step back. Crack it. Wait, whoa. This is worrisome for Kraken. What's going on, Jesse? What's going on over there? Let's take a look. That's not okay. That's not okay. Listen, that's not okay. Jesse, what's going on? What are you doing? This is terrible. This is not okay. I don't even know what to say about this. Wow. There it is. I don't know what to say about that. That's entirely worrisome. We've seen it before on Kraken. It was a one-time event. You know, it happens one time. You got to think, all right, especially on an exotic Bitcoin versus the Canadian dollar. All right, I could understand. But Ethereum US dollar? What's going on here? Is Kraken in some type of trouble? If you have money on Kraken, you got to be asking yourself these questions right now. Is Kraken it? 878 likes, by the way. Thanks for being here this morning, sharing with us. Definitely appreciate it. For whatever reason, the algorithm has brought you here. You stumbled upon something unique on the internet. What's happening here, what's taking place, what's been taking place ever since this channel was created 14 months ago is extraordinary, is very special. I am glad that you are here. It is good that you are here. I've never seen such a group of people do so well in the markets in my life. What's happening here is special. And if you're new here, welcome. All right, let's take a look over here. Let's keep going. Let's keep going over here. Let me take a peep at Cardano. I want to get into the good stuff in a moment, right? I want to get into the good stuff over here. This wasn't Cardano above $1. That's what we spoke about this morning, right? Came down all the way down to 80 cents, almost 80 cents this morning. Found support. Look, this is the honest truth. This is how I look at the markets right now. And I'm going to focus on Bitcoin. It's all relevant across the board. Everyone knows that, right? If I'm focusing on Bitcoin and you're looking at Ethereum, right? Same thing. I have no idea what's going to happen next. I don't need to know what's going to happen next. I knew my levels, right? We talked about as price was dropping over here. Talked about that people were getting liquidated in the futures market. We talked about that those that are following Conquer Trading and Investing, 3 ways on the Bitcoin playlist to trade the Bitcoin bull market as price is coming off 15%. I gave you the levels ahead of time, showing that this level of support over here was about a 16% drawdown from the all-time high. That's where you begin scaling in, right? If we break this trend line over here, we could go down further. I showed you what a 30% drawdown would look like into the $40,000 level, thereabouts, right? You have to have the plan ahead of time, so as it's happening, you don't become a deer in headlights and do something you're going to regret. And that's how it is, right? There's not one person over here. By the way, $52,000. That's where I talked about, right? For a charity that I'm helping out, moving money, my own money. They had no position, giving them going full in the market, buy market, right? Not looking for the dip because the risk is to the upside. Nothing has changed. The risk right now continues to be the upside. I'm targeting next somewhere around $70,000 before I even begin looking for that 30% pullback. Could it happen sooner? Of course, right? I've talked about in the last bull market phase, 2017, how we had a couple of instances where Bitcoin went on to make that new all-time high and shortly after made another 30% pullback. All right? All you could do is be ready at any time during the bull market phase for that 30% plus pullback to happen. Mentally prepared. If you're mentally prepared as it unfolds, you're not only calm, you're looking to go ahead and probably add to your position. All right. I want to talk about this with you all this morning. God's timing. At your convenience. By the way, this is a close friend of mine from seminary a long time ago. Caught up with me sometime over the summer. Was newly married, has a young kid, and was I think into real estate broker, trying to get off the ground and talking about like he wanted to get invested in the stock market. We talked about Bitcoin. We talked about what was happening. He got himself well positioned. He does all his own work. But he's extremely bright, extremely intelligent, right? Taking lots of positions all across the altcoins as well. Really focused in on what's going on. Really having a lot of fun right now. Vacationing with his family, right? Beautiful. The opportunity to be able to do that. He has a question, right? Look, I'd love to get your perspective on the possibility of going into a hyper bull cycle. Crypto and DaVinci 17 just posted a YouTube video yesterday that they think it's possible this cycle, due to institutional FOMO and many institutions having standing parameters that only allow their financial advisors to invest in companies above a market cap of $1 trillion, they project $1.2 million Bitcoin with a longer than usual cycle. All right, so we're back to a couple of things. Let's talk about it. Let's break this up. This is super important over here. We're back to lengthening cycles. This is not institutional FOMO. This is YouTube FOMO. This is YouTuber FOMO. As price was going here, trading up to $58,000. They're like, oh, yeah. All right, couple of things. Let's break it down. Let's talk about it over here. As we're talking about institutions investing over $1 trillion, this is something several months ago we talked about on this channel. Okay? Several months ago, we talked about as Bitcoin becomes, and this is because of Anthony Papalano and Morgan Creek. Anthony Papalano, who works with institutions, made it clear a long time ago that as Bitcoin trades around $50,000, becomes a $1 trillion asset, that institutions will have but no choice to take a look at Bitcoin. That's happening now. That's not news to us. We've been aware of that. That's unfolding. We're looking at that. Raoul Pal is also talking about a super cycle of $1.2 trillion. Raoul Pal, my friend Raoul. I'm not even going to get into it with Raoul because Raoul's like easy pickings. Raoul's easy pickings. When you get things that wrong, when you call yourself a macro guy and you get it that wrong. Anyway, let's focus on what's important. Let's focus in on what's important over here. So this is something that we've been very aware of. Institutions will come in. By the way, there's a big difference in what's happening in this bull market cycle. There's a big difference what's happening as you're looking at, hold on, I need to pull up my chart as we talk about this. All occurring right now. There's a big difference when you're talking about public companies such as Tesla or MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy just raised another $900 million to buy Bitcoin with, right? Basically, they raised money at zero and bought Bitcoin with it. Insane, right? There are people like Max Kaiser who talk about this is a speculative attack on the Federal Reserve banking system. If you remember what Stanley Druckenmiller's idea, taking out the Bank of England, made $1 billion in a day. Yeah, that's an overnight success. Now, him and George Soros and the Quantum Fund, they set up that trade and were positioned in it for a while. They didn't make $1 billion overnight. There was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into that, right? If Michael Saylor winds up being the engineer, the financial engineer who takes out the central banking system, people are going to be like, yeah, he made $1 trillion overnight. No, it's not overnight. Anyway, listen, there's a big difference between public companies buying Bitcoin and putting it on their balance sheet because they don't have to sell. They don't have to rebalance. MicroStrategy, as the price of Bitcoin goes up to $100,000, does not need to take profit. Now, institutions do. Institutions need to rebalance quarterly. And as institutions do enter Bitcoin, right? And as the price of Bitcoin goes up, they're going to have to sell. And as the price of Bitcoin goes down, they're also going to have to sell. Now, could this cause actually the bear market in Bitcoin? Could institutional money cause the bear market in Bitcoin? Well, the bear market's coming regardless of what happens, unless we start seeing some type of hyperinflationary event take place, and we're not seeing that. Now, just keep in mind, this is very, very important. This takes place very quickly, and that's why we're always doing what we do every day, so that we continue to stay on the right side of the market. Hold on one second. I hope we're right over here, right? Sorry. So that this doesn't welcome. This person must be new, right? This person must be new. First of all, no spamming. Like, this is not what we do in over here. This is a very special place. This is a very special place. Thank God that you were here. But we don't spam. We don't be like silver's breaking out when it's not doing anything, right? Because why? Because this is what's happening here is extraordinarily important. What's happening here is extraordinary. We have a lot of work to do. It's very important work, and it actually bears many, many, many fruits. People have made serious money working together here. Okay, we're not only looking at what's happening right now. We're looking ahead. We're looking to help the future generations. We're looking to help a lot of people in this world that these central bankers are really hurting right now. We don't play games like that. All right, silver is not breaking out. Silver is into the resistance right now. All right. Anyway, I digress. Shouldn't have looked at the comments, but I did, and here we are. Look, we looked at gold already. Gold over here. See it coming off the support. That's when you look at gold, by the way, as gold was coming down into this area over here, right over there, and right over here. That's when we look at gold. That's for the entry, right? But you have to ask yourself, do you want to be invested in gold? Right? If gold breaks out above this resistance over here, then we'll start looking at gold. That'll be a pretty big breakout, by the way, as I pull back on gold. Breaking out above that resistance over here, then I'm saying, all right, gold has the possibility now to be breaking out of this several month consolidation. And if it does, I'm looking for gold to break out new all-time highs. Do I think that's going to happen right now as yields are rising? I don't think so. Now, if the Fed were at any time to go ahead and have to put any type of yield control in place, gold's going to explode. Gold and silver are going to explode to the upside, right? So, by the way, if we break above this resistance right over here, we still have this one to worry about, this trend line over here. And it's a break above that trend line, which is above 1914. That's the gold line, 1914. That would signal that we are out here breaking out, and we'll be looking at making new all-time highs on gold. Right now, we're just bouncing off that level of support over there on gold. That's clarity. That's what we do over here. Very important stuff, right? So Bitcoin, I just want to go back to that 1 minute clip live as that was happening over here and be able to, I wonder what, who are these people? Da Vinci 17 was doing at that moment. Anyway, let's go back. Institutions are going to have to rebalance as Bitcoin goes up and down. How that's going to affect the price of Bitcoin, we don't know yet. That's a new catalyst that's never been in the picture before. Okay, that's different with public companies. And if we start seeing more public companies take positions, and we should start seeing that very soon, approximately 6 weeks after MicroStrategy held their corporate conference, gave the playbook, because it's complicated. They just can't go buy Bitcoin. They got to let their investors know what their intentions are, what their plans are. No, file with the SEC. They have to have full board approval. There's a lot of hoops to go through. Michael Saylor did it with MicroStrategy, and then he held this enormous conference and let everyone know how they can do that. Are we going to start seeing in the next few weeks more announcements of corporations? Are we going to see Salesforce, Oracle? That's going to be extraordinarily bullish. Is it possible that we do go vertical and then at that point have to reassess? Yes, we're watching out for that. All right. That's not happening yet. We just had a nice pullback. Everything is, we are mirroring, by the way, more of the second cycle than the first cycle so far, in that we're having not a double wave. This is a double wave right over here. One wave, two wave. By the way, this was basically sideways for many months, and that was tough. All right, let's keep going. Let's unbreak this over here. Is it possible because of institutional FOMO? So we talked about the institutional. We talked about how corporations are more important. More importantly, we have been aware of what this possibly taking place well ahead of time. Right? This is not new for us. We're not FOMOing as price hits $58,000 and I said it early and I've said it many times. At the top of the bull market cycle, there are going to be many people who say Bitcoin's going to $1 million, this time's different. Bitcoin's going to $1 million, this time is different. That's exactly what these people are saying over here. Wait until we get into September. It's going to be everywhere. Super cycle, Dan Held, right? Raoul Pal. Everyone's going to be like, this time's different. And Jordan's going to be like, here's the exit. I'm taking it. Whenever I take it, I don't know when it's going to be. Price and the market is going to dictate that, right? And by the way, let's say I exit. Let's say there's a 50% correction, and then we go up and make new all-time highs again. That's an anomaly. That's wrong. Something's wrong. And if we are entering some type of hyperinflationary event that's causing a super cycle in Bitcoin, which I do not think is even close to happening or going to happen, right? If that were to happen, we will get right back in and be on the right side of that trade. There's no question about it. That 5% allocation as insurance in case something were to happen, all of a sudden would become fully positioned and more. That's why we do what we do. It's not happening. What's happening right now is exactly what I said would happen, is that people are going to say this time's different. Bitcoin's going to $1 million. Sure enough, I project the price of $1.2 million Bitcoin and a longer than usual cycle. This cycle is going to be, by the way, shorter than the last, right? We've said that back. I don't remember when it was. I think it was sometime early December when I said, hey, I'm wrong. We're not seeing diminishing returns. We're actually seeing increased returns. By the way, I'm not the type of guy who puts something out there and then needs to be right, and I'll be wrong for like many months instead of having the full of pride, instead of having the humility to be like, yeah, the market showed me I'm wrong. I don't care about being wrong. I just want to be on the right side of the trade, right? I said I'm wrong. We're not seeing any type of diminishing returns. We're seeing increased returns, and I have a projected shorter cycle over here. Why do I have a shorter cycle? Well, number one, if you look at the low of the Bitcoin bear market and then go to how many days to the halving, push that forward past the halving, less 2%, that in the first cycle and second cycle is given the peak, right? That puts us somewhere around September 21st. Am I calling a top at September 21st? No, that's one of the guidelines that I'm using when I'm looking for that top, right? Ultimately, it's going to be price and price alone that gets me out. Anyway, let's keep going over here. What else? Jordan, have you listened to Michael Saylor in the newest episode of the Bitcoin Standard podcast? He speaks a lot on different Bitcoin models, stock to flow, halving cycles, etc. Would love your thoughts on one of the live streams this week. I believe the super cycle was only 5% likely, but now I'm second guessing that. So this podcast was put out over here on the Bitcoin Standard. It's Michael Saylor talking about the fiat standard. I'm about, I would say, I don't even know if I'm halfway through, about halfway through. I haven't gotten to the part yet where Michael talks about this. I will watch it. I did see this, though. If you didn't see this yet over here, Michael talking about, let's watch this really quick. This is like a 19-second clip.
Now, what happens to all these wonderful models if 10 billionaires just decide to buy $1 billion of Bitcoin each and announce we bought it, we're not ashamed of it, we're going to buy more. All your models are destroyed, completely devastated. Bitcoin goes to the moon. Now,
all right. So what Michael's saying, listen, all the models you have, I don't know if it's related to this because he's talking about different models, stock to flow halving cycles. I haven't yet got to the part where he's talking about that. I'm not saying that what he said over here is related, but what he's saying over here is, listen, what happens if you see a number of billionaires come in, step in, and buy Bitcoin, right? At that point, if you see 10 billionaires come in and buy Bitcoin, all of a sudden, all the models are broken. Well, how many billionaires have already announced they've bought Bitcoin, right? You have the legend. I don't know his name. I can't pronounce his name, rather. You guys are going to help me out here. By the way, please excuse the anyway, is it Kamith? Kamith, right? It's a billionaire. We all know he's bought Bitcoin. He's going to, as Bitcoin hits $150,000, he's going to go ahead and buy the Hamptons and make that a summer camp and farms for the underprivileged. Looking forward to that. So that's one. Thank you, Bobby. That's one. Kamith. That's one. We have over here in Mexico, we have Richard Salinas, who has gone ahead and said that he's put 10% of his liquid net worth into Bitcoin. That's a lot of money, by the way. He's worth a few billion. He's a big silver fan. He said that the Mexican peso should be backed by silver. If that was happening, you wouldn't see over here. You wouldn't see the dollar right now putting in this move, by the way, into resistance. We'll talk about that later in the session. That's not important right now, but you could see after the breakout over here, we've come into the resistance. This is where we're looking for the rejection, the pullback. Let's see what happens. Maybe we pull back into 2047. If we do, there's some nice local support over here, a resumption off there. That might be the next time to enter into the trade. We're not looking at that right now, so I'll just come back into real time, right? Oh, now we're getting close. We're about $1,000 away from everyone who sold over here or got liquidated over here, FOMOs into the upside, right? And let's see if they FOMO into the upside, if they're just FOMOing again, chasing momentum, and then we come back down and then come in for a retest. Maybe it's this level over here. That would be healthy to come in and test that and confirm that. And then they sell again. It's like a yo-yo. That's terrible. I remember when I first started trading the future markets back in the year, the E-minis back in 2003. I would do that. I would take 20 trades a day on the 3-minute time frame, chasing momentum. It's what rookies do. All right. So where else? What else have we got over here? We're talking about billionaires buying Bitcoin. We have Kamith, we have Richard Salinas. That's two. By the way, billionaires and most billionaires won't announce when they buy Bitcoin. What do you mean by that? Well, most billionaires won't. If for example you have whether it was Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, or any of these guys, any of these jokers have Bitcoin, they're not going to mention it publicly. First of all, right? How do I know that? Well, firsthand knowledge. Second of all, they make their money in fiat. They're not really I guess it would be younger billionaires. If 10 billionaires were to go ahead and buy Bitcoin, does that break all the models? I think that Michael, and I have enormous respect for Michael getting out there and being the 2021 Bitcoin bull run spokesperson. I think he's being a CEO right here. What's a CEO's job is to go ahead out there and paint the vision for everyone. And he's trying to get everyone in corporate America to FOMO into Bitcoin right here, right now. And I'm glad that he's out there doing what he does, right? Everyone knows who watched his channel. I'm a big proponent of Michael. But I think Michael is just being a CEO right now. And I don't think that it's going to break the models if you have 10 billionaires going out here and buying Bitcoin. There's probably well over 10 billionaires who have already bought Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not breaking the models. Lumber? Yeah. Lumber is a sign of inflation. That's all it is. Nothing to see there. Commodities, is that the trade you're looking for? Right? Again, I've talked about this. I've been pretty on point with this. Talking early about what was happening on copper. I mean, if you look at what's happened to copper since the new year, we're looking at copper, running. Where do we got? January 1st. January 3rd, right over here. They open up. You're looking at copper up 15%. Nice. That's a pretty good trade in the commodities market over here in a matter of 6 weeks. 15%, right? What's Bitcoin doing since the new year? What's Bitcoin doing since January the 1st? Oh, by the way, Bitcoin doesn't open up January the 3rd because Bitcoin's always open and trading, right? So Bitcoin's up 86%. Yeah, so I could see why someone might be focused over in the commodity. No, I can't. Right? You got to put your money to work, and Anyway, there we are. Yeah, Richard, I appreciate the help. Chamath, I have such a problem with sounding out words, and that's the way it is. If someone could pronounce it for me, then I'll be able to memorize it. All right, what else are we looking at? What else are we looking at? All right. All right. There we go. Back. We're just going to take a look at what's going on now. I see the Nasdaq off its lows right over here, bottoming out. Nice little area of local support. No big deal. S&P, same thing. There's the local support right over there. That was resistance turned into support. Not really worth more than just being aware of what's going on. Dollar is down today. Dollar's still trading sideways, under pressure. If the dollar breaks down, by the way, we've talked about it enough, right? There was that move into the resistance, into the trend line, resistance of this channel. This was the video put out on the channel on January the 5th on the DXY and the dollar, talking about what next, as this was over here. Price was down, trading over here. We were talking about that next we should see a retest of that channel. We're resuming off. If we break down out of here, you could see prices sideways. If we break down to the downside, take out the new yearly low over here, at that point, the only thing left standing in the dollar's way is 88.40. If that happens, at that point, we could see a big move against the dollar. The only time the dollar will become really in play for us is breaking out that support over here or breaking above this resistance over here on the upside, that channel. Right now, we're trading sideways in a massive downtrend. That's all. What else? We wanted to look at the U.S. dollar Mexican peso or the U.S. dollar Japanese yen, right? As you're seeing yields rise, you're seeing the U.S. dollar outperforming the Japanese yen. Same thing that's happening over here against the peso. Peso is still in a big downtrend, though. This is a really big downtrend, right? And now we're into some resistance. Because of what's happening on this trend line break, by the way, to the upside, I'm not looking to buy it. I think we're in a downtrend. I think yields have come pretty far, pretty fast. That's when you start seeing that, like, all of a sudden everyone's like, Bitcoin's going to $1 million, right? No, right? Probably what happens next is some type of consolidation and or retracement over here. Let's see what happens. We'll continue tracking it. Boom, 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 boom. I love to hear that. It's not the first time I heard that. I saw that in the Discord group this morning. Someone talking about that after recently purchasing their first fractions of a Bitcoin. They were adding to their fractions of Bitcoins this morning. That's how you do it. Love to hear that. So what else this morning? Yeah, Bruno, it's an exotic. You should stay away from exotics unless you're a professional. All right? Stick with the majors. But it's an exotic pair. The volume is not what it is as it is you'll find on Chamath. Is that it? Is it Chamath? If it's Chamath, let me know. I think by this camera it's Chamath. If it's Chamath, go ahead and smash that like button. What happened to Cardano on Kraken? Let's check it out. Oh my goodness. Does Kraken survive this day? If you have money on Kraken right now, there we go. Chamath. I'm saying it a bunch of times so I memorize it. Chamath. Meme. Let's get a Chamath meme. Jordan, it's meme. Thank you, Alan. Guys, it's okay to laugh. It's okay to laugh and have fun. That's the whole point, right? So anyway, this is not okay. Kraken under some serious problems over here. Listen, if you're a Kraken user, what are you doing? Are you reassessing right now? Are you taking the money off that exchange? I don't know, but this is anyway. Let's take a look. All right, silver on the verge of possibly breaking out over here. When I say breaking out, above the resistance over here at 27.67, a breakout above this resistance. This opens up the opportunity for a new entry. Okay, so anyone who's tracking silver over here. By the way, I was very clear when everyone's like, Wall Street Bets is not involved in silver. That does Wall Street Bets is really, anyway. If we break above here, this opens up the opportunity for a new entry over here. If we get a retest and a resumption, that entry, by the way, if we are able to clear above this resistance, could take us to taking out the yearly high on silver. If you remember, well before it happened, my base case for 2021 was that we're going to see silver take out the 2020 high. It's already done that, right? Has to do it again. It has to get above the resistance over here. If we get above the 30.70 resistance, at that point, the next resistance is 35. And above that, new all-time highs, $50 on silver. Could it happen in 2021? I think so. Let's see what happens. All right. What else? Gold over here. We looked at everyone. Everyone has a pretty good, let's say, clarity on gold. No question there. Right. Silvergate. There's Gene. There's your Silvergate over here. I don't know. And if I don't know, I don't know. Let me take a look at some FX over here this morning. Yeah, Kraken's having major issues. I think they just lost the majority of their clientele. And I'm wondering if that's going to put a little pressure on Silvergate or not, but it doesn't seem to be. Silvergate way off its opening lows. So I don't think that's the issue. Yeah, Kraken's having some issue. I think Jesse should be out on Twitter letting everyone know what's going on. And if he's not, that's highly concerning. So, yeah, Kraken's having major issues. Yeah. But I don't know what the whole narrative is about that. Ken, I'll buy that. But I'll tell you this. I will tell you this. Why possibly for myself, Kraken was going to be an avenue for trading gold and Bitcoin, gold versus Bitcoin at the peak of the bull market. It will not be now. I will not put funds onto Kraken. That's it. Is BlockFi safe? Is BlockFi safe? Unchained Capital, lending platforms. I'm a huge proponent. I am more confident or feel more safe using BlockFi than I do Chase Manhattan or definitely Wells Fargo or Bank of America without question, right? But BlockFi is holding collateral. BlockFi is, as other exchanges are letting go of their Bitcoin, BlockFi is collecting Bitcoin. There's risk, but they're lending out money that's well collateralized, and they could call in that collateral. They could call in those loans at any time. I feel super comfortable with BlockFi. I think BlockFi is definitely going to be an enormous company in the future. By the way, they're talking about listing, tradable tradable stocks coming to BlockFi in the future. Big plans for BlockFi. I'm a huge proponent of BlockFi and been for a while. All right, what else is going on? Yeah, watch the language here. This is definitely, my 6 kids one day are going to be watching all these live streams over here to get their financial education, right? And we just keep it family friendly in here, right? That's why we do what we do, and that's how we do it. What else are we looking at over here this morning? Sorry about that. That's terrible. I'm kind of beside myself what's taking place this morning on Kraken. I'm just beside myself. It's an absolute travesty. I would like to hear a little bit more today, find out about what happened, just so I understand. But my takeaway from it, and the first shot was fired, was a couple of years ago when the same thing happened on Bitcoin Canadian dollar. But at this point, Kraken at this point is finished, in my opinion. We'll see what happens. I know for the U.S., for a lot of people in the U.S., it's their only ability to trade Bitcoin lightly leveraged. So there are other ways to skin a cat. I'm not talking about using. Be careful about exchanges like Bybit, something that does not do KYC, that at any time could come under pressure from the CFTC or SEC or any other U.S. authorities. Be very careful, but there are ways to do things legally. All right. What else are we looking at today? I want to just check in over what's going on in FX this morning. We can see that the Australian dollar is continuing in this I catch myself, hyperinflationary environment, right? This inflationary environment, you still see commodity currency running, right? Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar have been two of the strongest. Australian dollar, British pound, two of the strongest currencies that I've seen since the new year, the ones that I've been tracking. We've been watching this trade, right, together over here at the entry coming off here. We did this live on the live stream and then talked about how do you push your trades in the live CTM training session together. Talking about taking 40% of the position off over here. By the way, nice trade, right? Moving your stop down to lock in some profit over there, letting the 60% run, right? What should you be looking at now, right? What should you be looking at now? Are you looking to take profits as you come into the resistance over here at point, let me put in a resistance over there. That's at 0.81, 81 cents over here, 82 cents over there. Let me put some resistance over there. Or do you think that this current macro environment that we're in, which is not deflationary, is going to continue for some time? Is it going to continue until the Fed has to act? What does the Fed act mean? Is the Fed going to go ahead and start quantitative tightening? No. Is the Fed going to pull the brake off the amount of QE purchases? No. Is the U.S. government going to start further debt and printing more money and stimulating more stimulus? Probably. To the extent that will happen, we need to watch. But we did see last week those maniacs talking about another new $3 trillion stimulus. We'll watch that. We'll see, right? Are we going to see the Fed have to come in and do some type of yield curve control? That might happen. If that were to happen at that point, that would be the time where you're looking to go ahead and say, all right, I have right now a free trade on. Free trade. I took 40% of the profit. My stop over here is already locked in for the rest. And now we're resuming off over here. Right? If I'm pushing my winners, do I think that this current macro landscape is changing anytime soon? Or am I going to push this trade, right? Could this trade another 20 cents higher back to $1 and or higher? Maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. Let's see what the market does. But until something changes, you got this is your opportunity to push something. This is your opportunity to push a trade. And just a few different trades throughout the course of the year makes the difference at the end of the day. So that's let's call this signal. This is a signal trade, riding that signal. I don't think it's time to be looking to cut your profits short over here. That's a big trade, a bigger trade than most people probably will have ever taken in their lifetimes, right? Do you take some more off over there? Right? You took 40% off, you have 60% off. Do you take another 20, 30% off? Well, that's something I could get behind. That's big resistance coming up. If we get into there, taking some more off there, that's something that I could get behind all day long. Let's see what happens. We're watching the Australian dollar versus the Japanese yen also continuing out of there. We were watching the move into the trend line, but I wasn't looking at an entry over here at all for myself. What about the pound? Pound Japanese yen pulling back a little bit today. This becomes interesting, right? Any move back down into this broken resistance, now support, that opens up the opportunity to get involved in that trade. What's the pound US dollar doing? Continuing to run. We're not chasing anything. We don't chase momentum over here. We wait for that pullback into some type of resistance over there. What's going on, Cindy? Glad you're here with us this morning, right? What else? Yeah. What else? Crude. Kips is looking at crude over here. Crude. Oh, what's going on over here? We had this in order last week. Trading view, if you have multiple charts open, when you save them on other charts, they don't save like that. This is over here, right? This was my objective met. I'm out of the trade over here into the 59 area, right? That was coming out of this area over here. $40. Boom. That's where I was putting my targets over there. Hit and met last Friday with you all on the Friday live stream. I said to you, or Thursday live stream, I said, if we pull back into this area over here, that opens up a new entry into crude over here, resuming off of it, taking place since, just go back. It was Thursday morning or Friday morning on the live stream. We were talking about that. I was out of the trade completely. Targets met, objectives met. And then I said, if we break above that resistance, which we were above it, that opens up a retest and a resumption off, opens up a new opportunity to get into the trade. But it's not interesting. Although I expect crude to continue to go higher because we're looking at this massive amount of money sloshing around the system. It's got to go somewhere. Commodity, crude oil, going up. Is it the attractive trade? No, but you want to be focused in on it. It's part of the puzzle. It is part of the puzzle that we put together every day over here. Beautiful work here this morning together, keeping calm, keeping that situational awareness, right? Just as people are FOMOing to Bitcoin going to $1 million as it came into 58 this morning, I bet you people were FOMOing. Probably Peter Schiff got on Twitter. See, I told you Bitcoin's crashing and going to zero. It has no intrinsic value. Anyway, a lot of fun. How long we've been on this morning over here? We've been so far 1 hour and 20 minutes. We're going to do it again tomorrow morning. Thanks for being here this morning together. Thanks for sharing. Go ahead and go out with some beautiful music this morning together. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thanks for being here. May God bless you. Yeah, Carl, that's big resistance taken out over here. That's big resist. Good eye. Good eye. And this offers up opportunity here, coming back and retesting into this area, right? In the coming days. Keep watching that. Thank you for pointing that out. By the way, let me just pause for a second. That's a really good question over here. We talked about Trezor earlier in the show. Is that FUD to keep people from cold storing? I don't think that's FUD at all. I think it's really important that those within the industry, those are constantly, iron sharpens iron. If there's a flaw in a hardware wallet, we want to know about it. And this is going to force Trezor to go ahead and improve their wallet. That's excellent. That's good. It's real. I don't think it's FUD, but what should have been included, and it shouldn't have been Trezor that needed to go ahead and make that announcement. And anyone reporting on that, they should have said, but if you're using a passcode, at that point, this is irrelevant, right? So the takeaway, the bottom line is if you're using a Trezor, make sure you're using a passcode. Bruno, Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all the moderators, to all of you. What a beautiful time together. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you so much to everyone. Brandon, great call over the weekend saying that Sunday night we were going to see that correction on the crypto. Heath, you're a superstar. Alan, phenomenal. Everyone, George, everybody, thank you so much for everything that you add, for everything you do. Stefano, you're a rock star. Everybody, have a beautiful, beautiful day, and I'll talk to you later.